Hey everyone, Namaste and welcome to the 15th episode of Yogi Shakti with me, Shailaja Menon, here on Anand TV. I hope you are all safe wherever you are viewing this from, and thank you for being on this journey. Now, today I'm going to be working on the hips, and basically that means dealing with a set of muscles called the hip abductors, trying to release the tightness and the clenchedness around them. Now, the word abducting itself implies this going away, this moving away from the center. And when we connect that to our attention, there's always stuff that takes our attention away from our core, away from our center. There are these attractions and aversions. There are these plans, and then these plans that didn't work out. And there are all these disappointments and insecurities. And all of this is constantly taking our attention away. And through working with the hips and releasing the tightness around these hip abductors, we hope that the mind too will regain its center and find its connectedness. As we all know that the body, mind, and breath are connected, and the mind and body is really a continuum. So let's work together and let's try and release those hips. Namaste. Now we're just going to work into Janu Shirsasan, where you just straighten one leg forward. Yeah, so your right knee is bent. So I think you can see better if I sit this way. Right knee remains bent. And then I'm just going to go back here, right? And then as you inhale, just lengthen through your spine. And as you exhale, just folding deep. So again, here, just go easy with your body. Yeah, it's not, there's no competition either with anybody else or even with your own self, right? So it's just a beautiful practice to connect to yourself in that beautiful space of non judgmental awareness. There is no right or wrong, it is just you and your body and wherever it is at this point. So, again, just letting your awareness flow over your body, feeling that added deep stretch to the back of your left leg, the hamstrings, the back of the knees, the calves, all of that gently opening, releasing as you just stay here for a few more breaths. And then slowly inhale and rising up. And from here, just see if you can swing that left leg back. Yeah, so this is a position called Ekapada Kapotasana. Yeah, so Kapota is the pigeon pose. So since this is one-legged, so it's like Ekapada. So to open the hips, you have to try to get that shin to come as forward as possible. Yeah, so again, work with your body, right? So what happens is sometimes if our hips are tight, then we'll be sitting a bit like this. Like, can you see how lopsided I am? Like, my left thigh is completely off the mat, my left hip is also not squared, right? So, just observing all of this and knowing that just take your leg out to the point where you can remain grounded. Yes, you have to try to get that left thigh to ground. You have to try to get that left hip to come forward, right? So if you can't do that, just use a block. Yeah, so blocks are very useful here. You can just roll up a towel as well. So if you don't have a block at home, just use a thick blanket or a towel and just place it below your right hip. Yeah, so when you do that, automatically, it's much, much easier to get your hips squared. Yeah, so I'm just going to release the block, but please feel free to use a block. Yeah, so what you do is if your right knee is bent, then you place the block below the right hip. Yeah, and then just working, you're exploring, right? So initially, maybe the heel is quite close to the hip. Then you slowly see whether you can take it out, right, as much as you can, right, but all the while trying to keep the hip squared, right? So there's no point in doing this, right? So really try to keep the hip squared even as you take the heel away from the hip, right? Then at some point where you feel like, okay, this is it, this is your edge, then just slowly just staying up here for a few breaths, really feeling that deep release in your hips as you inhale, as you exhale, feeling that beautiful opening in your chest as well. and slowly just walking forward, right? So again, come forward as much as you can. So even as you come forward, if again there's tightness in the hips, the tendency will be to be lifted up like this as we come forward. Yeah, so all the while you have to try to maintain that right thigh as close to the floor as possible. Yeah, and even when you walk forward, if you're not conscious, that right side will go down, but the left side will remain up. So just go to a point where you can feel your elbows are in line, your shoulders are in line, right? There's an evenness, always striving for that concept of samatvam, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. So it is that evenness that we seek at all points through our yoga practice. And that evenness begins in the body, in our practice on the mat. So we try to find that evenness here in our bodies. And then slowly just walking back, just bring the hands back. Just lift the heart and then slowly just swing that leg forward again, right? And then this time, see if you can gently lift that right foot up and bring that right heel up towards that left hip crease. Yeah, so just keeping the hip here, working into this half lotus position, yeah, Ardha Padmasan. And from here, you can again lift your arms up and as you exhale, folding deep. Just focus on your breath as you inhale and exhale. Just become aware of that beautiful length to your spine, that deep tilt to your pelvis, being aware of the stretch along the back of your leg. And slowly inhale and rising up, and exhale and release. Yeah, so we're just going to release this leg here, and we're working with Janushasana on the other side. So the right leg will straighten and your left knee will bend. Yeah, so again here, before we fold, we have to make sure that the hips are squared. So deliberately drawing back through the right hip, and then inhale and lift the heart. And as you exhale, folding deep. So just staying here with your breath, inhale and exhale. Just focus on the stretch along the back of your leg and use your breath to go deeper. As you inhale, just lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, folding deep. As you inhale, lengthen through your spine. As you exhale, folding deep. And inhale and rising up. Exhale and release. Yeah, and from here we're moving into Ekapada Kapotasana. So just try to just swing the right leg to the back, right? So just a little swing there. Yeah, and then again working with your left knee. So try to bring that heel as away from the hip as possible. So again, initially the hip will be slightly lifted at the right side. So in fact, I'm lifting my left hip. Yeah, you can see me lift that left hip off. And this is where you should use your block. Yeah? So in case you can't get that right thigh to the floor, you should try to use this left hip here. And then otherwise, you can just stay without it. Keep that right thigh grounding. Keep that left heel moving away and then slowly moving forward. Yeah, just find your point and coming all the way forward. And slowly coming back up and swing that right leg forward again. as we work into the half lotus position. So just lift that foot up, bring it right up into the right hip crease. And again, inhale, lengthen through your arms. As you exhale, fold forward. So just staying here for a few breaths. As you inhale and exhale, Ardha Padma Paschimottanasana. And slowly inhale and rising up, exhale and release. So now we're going into a position called Gomukasan. Yeah, the literal translation of that is cow face pose. Right? So you got to tell me what that looks like. Now just bring the right knee over the left. Right? So if you have tight hips, then you may not be able to get it all the way over, and that's perfectly fine. Right? So remember, wherever you are is good. Now, if you can, you try to bring it as directly over the left knee as possible. Yeah, and then as you inhale, just lift the arms up. So, just really working at all times to expand your energy. Lift the spine, lift the arms, stretch your fingers, right? And as you exhale, just coming deep. So, when you come forward, it actually intensifies the stretch. It gives a gentle stretch to your lower back, your spine, all of it as well. So, just close your eyes, focus on your breath. Inhale and exhale. Just enjoy being where you are. And slowly inhale and rising up. Exhale and release. Right? So just change legs here. So your left knee will come over the right. And again, just do what is possible right now for your body. Right? So just try to make sure that you're sitting evenly over your hips, both sit bones firmly grounded. Inhale, lift the arms up. And as you exhale, folding deep, right? Just find your point wherever you are. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and rising up. Exhale and release. And now we go into another position called Kapotasana. Yeah, so earlier we did Ekapada Kapotasana. This is another variation of that. Is a seated Kapotasana. And here, this is actually a very intense position. Yeah, so I actually struggled with it for a long time. So if our hips are tight, we will actually be sitting a little bit like this, right, to the back of the sit bones with this knee coming up a little bit higher. So if this is your position right now, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, this is where you are, and with regular practice, it will help, right? So be where you are and just be okay with that. And then if you want to do a little bit more, just coming forward a little bit. Yeah, so the alignment here has to be very precise. Yeah, you have to get your right shin directly over the left shin. And then when you sit like that, you will notice that your right knee also is directly over your left ankle. And then your right ankle is over the left knee, right? And then your feet are gently dorsiflexed, so the toes will be pointing forward. So try to come into this kind of a position, and you can really feel the deep stretch along the outer hips. And then from here, again, if you feel really comfortable, your hips are really open, then you can bring your arms forward. Yeah, so you can truly feel that deep, deep stretch along the outer hips from this position. So just inhale and exhale, but just be really careful with your body. Yeah, if you're feeling any kind of discomfort, you should really be up. Yeah, so like I said earlier, coming forward increases the stretch, increases the deepening of any posture. Just focusing on the hips, just feeling that deep stretch along the outer hips. And inhale and rising up, exhale and release. Yeah, so change legs. So here the left shin will be now directly over the right shin, and then the rest of the alignment will follow as well. Your left ankle over the right knee, your left knee over your right ankle, right? Again, if you like to stretch your arms up. That's really nice to lift your energy. And as you exhale, coming forward and just staying here. Yeah, feeling that deep stretch along your outer hips. And inhale and rising up. Exhale and release the arms. Okay, so now we're just going to try some lying down positions, and we're going to start with the half lotus position. Yeah, so just lying back, just bend the right knee and bring the heel towards the left hip crease as low as possible. Yeah, and then from here, you're just working that knee back. So as you inhale, lift the knee up. As you exhale, just allow the knee to move back. So gently pulsing here as you inhale, lift the knee up. As you exhale, allow the knee to go back. Inhale, lift the knee up. As you exhale, allow the knee to go back. Yeah, and then from this position, bring the knee back to a neutral position and now lift the left knee up. Yeah, so as much as possible, just bringing that left thigh towards your abdomen and just holding it here. Yeah, keeping that right knee. So you'll notice my right knee is still working away. Yeah, so this is coming towards me and this is knee going away from me. Yeah, so I'm trying to get the knee to go away from me. And just hold it here 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I'm just going to go into a very gentle hamstring stretch. So I'm just going to release that left knee. Yeah, so you can just hold here wherever you can. Yeah, either your calves, your ankles, your feet, whatever feels right for you. Yeah, and then you can gently bend your elbows, draw the thigh towards your chest, but try to keep that right knee going away from the body. And just hold it here. Enjoy the position. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Now bend the left knee again, left foot on the mat, but you're going to change the position of the right heel. Now the right heel is going to come up towards, I'm just going to turn a bit so you can see me more clearly. The right foot is going to come just below your left knee. Yeah, and from here, you're just going to draw the left knee towards you again. Yeah, so drawing that left thigh as close to your abdomen as possible, keeping that right knee moving away from you, and just holding here for a bit, just feeling that deep release along that right outer hip. Holding well. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Yeah, so I hope you could see that. And now we're just going to do the same thing, but on the left side. So I'm just going to turn around so you can see properly. Yeah, and then keep the left knee bent with the left heel coming towards the right hip crease. Yeah, so this is that half lotus position. So maybe if I'm here, you can see better. Then from here, you're just going to work that knee out. Yeah, so inhale, leg comes in. Exhale, knee goes out. Inhale, knee comes in. Exhale, knee goes out. So just working. creating some mobility and opening along the hip. And then keep your knee in a neutral position as you draw that right thigh towards your abdomen, just holding it well here. And then you can gently keep that left knee moving away from you, holding well. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Now from here, I'm just going to straighten the leg, yeah, to get that nice release along the back of the leg, the right hamstring, the right back of the knee, all of it gets a beautiful release. So you can hold wherever is comfortable, either your calves, wherever your body will allow you at this point. Yeah, so just holding well and try to continue keeping your elbows bent. That gives a beautiful stretch. It really opens your body. Holding well. And slowly release the leg. And now bring that left heel as high as possible, just below your right knee. Yeah, and then from this position, again just drawing the right knee towards you. And this is again a variation of the Kapotasana that we've been doing. So, really, for hip opening, we've just been doing many variations of Kapotasana, the Ekapada Kapotasana, then we did the seated, and now we're doing the Supta variation. Supta is the lying down variation, right? So, again, try to keep your left knee moving away from you, but if it won't, that's fine. And you can really feel the stretch along the left outer hip here. And slowly release the leg and roll over to your side and coming up. Yeah, so that's all for today's episode. I really hope you have enjoyed these very different stretches and very different ways of releasing the tightness and the clenchedness in our bodies and muscles. So, the next week, I'm going to be continuing on hip opening with some other postures. So it's really interesting to explore different areas of our bodies in different ways, but all of it in the awareness that it's not just about the body, to know that the mind, body, and breath are all deeply connected. The mind and body are actually a continuum. And what we cannot directly get the mind to do, we embody and through the asanas, and that actually creates that beautiful centered state of mind. And always the practice is towards that state of ekagra where the mind is gathered, right? In our everyday lives our minds are just scattered, right? We're pulled in so many different ways, so many different directions, and through all of these different practices the mind gets gathered, the mind gets centered. And the more centered and the more grounded the mind is, the less prone we are to restlessness, to agitation, to reactivity, to picking up fights with people. Right? So, towards all of this, may we direct our practice with that greater awareness, not just of hamstrings and glutes and abdominal muscles and hip flexors and hip abductors, but also towards knowing that it truly has a very profound effect on the state of our minds and consciousness as well. Namaste.